Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jeff Daniels. Nice chair, right?
These are excellent chairs. Thank you for coming. It's very nice of you to come. I'll try to be interesting.
Well, you and Michelle Williams are giving two of the finest performances of this or any other season. What is it like living in the world of Blackbird?
Well, it's brutal because of the subject matter, because of the way it's written. It's written very choppy. I mean, we don't ad lib, but we have, I don't know what, I wasn't able to listen to that. But the lines aren't, like Sorkin in Newsroom, it flows like a river. This doesn't. It's choppy and you interrupt yourself all the time. It's how people think. And so that was hard to do, hard to learn and get on top of. And then the subject matter. And the fact that in Blackbird we've got to start where a lot of plays climax. Yeah. We come on stage and it's on. And that means there's work that has to be done before, you know, they say play, they say go. And so that takes about 10 or 15 minutes. So, and it's really, Michelle and I have found there's only one way to do this. And that's all in. You got to grab hands and sprint face first into the wall 8 times a week. If you do less than that, and we tried, it's a lover's quarrel, and it's not interesting. It's not why these two people are in this room. There's a third person in the room from page 1 on, and that's a 12-year-old girl. And once you don't let her leave, and that you remember that that's why you're both here, then it gets hard to do, which is the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. How did this new production on Broadway of the play come about for you?
The new production came, I had done it 9 years ago at Manhattan Theater Club, which is a wonderful place. Lynn Meadow sent me the play, and yeah, and but it, you know, it's an older demographic, shall we say, there, the subscribers. Amy Sedaris calls it, she says it sleeps 300. So, I love Manhattan Theater Club. Nathan Lane said it's like screaming into the grave. So we do this play. We do the play with Allison Pill, and Joe Mantello directed that one. And you know, and it's the New York Times. Ben Brantley, you know, was in a good mood that day, and he loved it. And you wouldn't know it. You just wouldn't know it. For 10 weeks, you wouldn't know it. You know, you'd hear the curtain would come down, and Alice and I are just spent, and then you'd hear, "Get the car." You know? So I thought we had done it, and they were talking about moving it, and Allison and I sat there with Allison. I said, "Do you want to?" And she goes, "I'm going to need therapy. I don't know that if I can even." And I said, and so it didn't happen. 9 years later, Scott Rudin, who has been a champion of mine since Carnage, since Newsroom, Jobs, called and said, "It's time to get you back on Broadway." And when you got one of the most prolific producers calling you, you know, and you go, "Yeah, what do you got? Comedy? What do you got?" You know, you know, Blackbird. So I looked at it and I said, you know what? I didn't go far enough. I left something there. I don't know what it is. I'm interested in doing it again, and Broadway's a big deal, so that interested me. To star on Broadway is not a small deal. When you get the opportunity to do that and you don't get them that often, cherish it. And so I took all that into account, talked with Joe again. He goes, let's go at it differently. And so we did, and that was the motivation to say yes and dive in. And then once we had Michelle, we were on.
So what is it like sharing the stage 8 times a week with the brilliant Michelle Williams?
She's not that good. Look, it's a two-hander in the best sense, and she and I have known that from January on. And she was new to this, so she was climbing Mount Everest, and I was kind of already halfway up, going, "Come on, come on!" And once we got into previews and started, we had shows where it was 2 individual performances, and it doesn't work. It's got to be 2 people joined at the hip, acting, reacting, listening. I told her, and I learned this at Circle Rep, you have half your if you allow it, if you take the fucking mirror down, half your performance is in the other person, what he or she is saying. They're giving you the thing that's going to push you over here. And if you're really listening, we're human beings. She's not going to do it the same way every night. She can't. We're not robots. So listen for those differences and use them, especially if it's 8 times a week in a play. You got to make it happen for the first time. So anything you can hear or see or feel that's new or different, grab it and then throw it back to her in a different way. We do stuff different every night. And Joe Mantello, the director, allows us. It was, I want you spontaneous. I want you to move it around. Stay in your lane. Sit when you're supposed to sit, and don't start restaging things. We don't do that. But I'll come at her hard one night. I'll come at her soft one night. It forces her to listen. She'll change it up. Forces me to listen. Because in Blackbird, and what we found is that, and it's nice to get the Tony nominations because that means people are paying attention to what we're doing. I've been doing this a long time. I know what I'm doing, and a lot of you do, It's just, there comes a point where it's not, you don't walk on stage going, I hope you like me. Are you gonna, I can't wait to be judged by you. Especially here in New York, kind of judgmental here. So, but I've taken this attitude, I've been doing this for 40 fucking years. So, and it's revisiting the play. No, but it's revisiting the play in a play that inside and out. So I got Michelle thinking this way. We come on going, keep up. Pay attention. We don't really give a fuck whether you like us or not. We don't care. We're not going to give it to you and then come back. We're here. You just happen to be watching. You're watching 2 people in a room with a table and a door, and they can't leave. With an insurmountable problem, can't leave. And you're in the room. You happen to be leaning on a window watching us. That's how we treat you. I mean, we're directed and there are things that come out and all of that, but we never leave here, ever. And there are people that do that on Broadway, but not many. And that's kind of the thing with Michelle that makes it so great. She's been nominated for an Oscar 3 times. That's not accidental. So you've got film people on stage in Blackbird. So we're not going to lock it down. We're not going to give you the mule on the trail performance that I can do the speech and think about what I'm going to eat at Joe Allen's, And you can get there after 100 shows. You can be doing this and over here somewhere. It's just, so you got to, boom. And if you keep it different, and Michelle keeps it different, and film is different on take 1, is different on take 2, different on 3, different on 4, different on 5, so that when you send that to the editing room and you have the speech quick on 1, sort of mad on 3, sad on 5, you've covered your ass in the editing room. Because you don't get to be in the editing room. So that's your way of making sure that you got something there that they're going to use, because they don't know. And this is getting back to Michelle, where you keep it different. You don't lock it. You keep it alive. And because anyone on a film or a TV set is guessing. They're guessing. There's no rehearsal. You get in front of the camera, you let it fly, and the camera grabs things that happen for the first time. So let it happen 5 different ways so that when they go write the final draft of the movie, which is in the editing room, which is what happens, you're covered. You're going to wish you had a slower version of that speech. Because the director's going to go, it doesn't work. I wish I had a slower version of that speech. The pacing of the scene beforehand, leading up to this, what the other actor did. Take 2, he did it slower. Great. Phew. There it is. But if you're going to sit there on a movie set and go, my character would never say that, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. And the differences in night to night, if we look at it like different takes, 8 times a week is 8 different takes. And when you have someone like Michelle Williams, you can do that on a stage in New York, and the audience feels that spontaneity, they feel that freshness, they feel that aliveness. This is not the 107th show tonight. It's the first one, which is what we're trying to do.
Beautiful. You are working with one of the greatest directors, stage directors, Joe Mantello. What's it like working with Joe?
Joe's like any good director in that he makes you better. You come up, you got to do the work, you got to do the homework, you've got to work, get on top of the lines so that you can start to make choices, and throw your choices at him. Throw them at him. Don't judge. Throw your choices at him. Right, wrong, this is what I think it is, go. His job is to weed out that. And Joe will go, what are you thinking there? What do you think he's, and I go, well, this, that, the other thing. He goes, yeah, What about this? And it's better. Better. Matthew Warchus was like that on Carnage. He would wait us all out. Gandolfini, I don't think I'd do that way. Okay, well, you might do it this way. Jim, do it that way. Do it that way. Do it that way. So, but the good ones take what you give them, but they're also thinking of other things. And time and time again, Joe and Matthew, but Joe would be, no, that's better. That's better. That's better. I wouldn't have thought of that. And when you get with a director with things in choices that you wouldn't have thought of, and they're better, you're in good hands.
Yeah. You're coming into the end of the run with the show, and the two.
Yes.
Yeah. He's counting the days down. You go on this emotionally intense roller coaster ride 8 times a week. How are you and Michelle holding up? Like physically?
We hate each other. We're fine. We like I said, there's only one way to do it. So you train. You're in training. You eat right. Because when you eat the pizza and the 20 buffalo wings on Saturday night because you got Sunday off, and you're hung over on food till Monday afternoon, that's not a good thing. You can't do that. So you eat right, you sleep all the time. I'm 61, I'm in bed all the time. She's in bed all the time. She's coming in going, oh God, I had an Epsom salt bath today. It helped me so much. And great, here we go. And we go at it again. But so we're okay, we're holding up. The Tony nominations help.
Yeah.
God, do they help. So, but now we got Tony voters in the audience every night. So every night is opening night, which is a great way to go out. We're also doing it better. The show hasn't gotten stale because we keep pushing, we keep looking, we keep finding, we keep keeping it alive. And because of that, and the Tony nominations, we're able to, it's better now than it was in March. Better, and so that isn't always the case. Sometimes it can tire out and get stale. That's not an option for us. Yeah. It's not acceptable. So whatever work you had to do in March to get ready, keep doing it. And she does, and I do, and and the show is better because of it. And then, look, it's 4 weeks or so, and then we'll be done. We got the rest of our lives not to do this play. So.
You know, backstage, you and I were talking about the physical toll it's taken on you.
Yeah.
And how the mind doesn't know that you're acting.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about, like, you know, you're showing me your hands and your knee and just, you know, everything, and how you get through that.
Well, my knee hurt. We throw trash. I would land on the floor on my kneecap, so that hurt for a month. I don't know what I did, but it's gone now. There was a trashing. I grabbed something and the finger bends back, and now this hurts. The staph infection. I had I had a cut on my finger middle of April, and it got infected, and I'm going, well, Neosporin, and leave me alone. And then 5 days later, this happened. And it was red, and there's still a little something. I mean, it's 98% gone, or something like that. It's almost, but it doesn't. But it was like this, and I couldn't. The only place it was comfortable was getting it above my head because of the heart, and it was like a knife stuck in there. And I went in on Monday morning. Saw the doctor, and he sent me over to an ortho, and the ortho looked at it and said, this is scary. You could be in a hospital if this gets to your heart. Wow. Then you're in the ICU, then you're in the... And I'm going, well, I got a show tonight, so... Oh. And he goes, well, I recommend you don't do that show. And do you have an understudy? I said, yeah, but he doesn't go on. So, I almost passed out twice in the office, which was also not a good sign. And so I went back to the other doctor, and he said, well, look, I don't think you should, but I'm not going to tell you no. I said, good. What'll happen if I go on? He goes, worst case, if you bump it, you're going to scream. But if you're passing out. And so drink juice and sugar up and just get through the show. So I got through the show, and there was a lot... God damn it! There was a lot of this, you know, a lot of this, and occasionally I'd what like that. So I got through it, and after the show, you know, and I'm like throbbing. Go back, and there's a Tony voter there crying. She'd never seen anything like it in her life. I'm going, there's one. So it's just, and mentally you get beat up because you got to spin the mind. You got to get into this guy's head. And that's the whole key to acting. And Marshall taught it at Circle, and we teach it at Purple Rose. You got to think like him or her. You got to think their thoughts. And if you think like they think, everything else will happen. You got to do the technical and the craft and the this and the that and all of that. And you got to learn the lines so well that you don't even think about them. And that's work. That's repetition. And if you don't do it, then you're going to look like those actors that we see who you know don't quite know it, so they're hemming and hawing and adding little words, and now they sort of remember their line. Don't be that. That's just an actor who's not working hard enough. Get on top of the line so you can do what you do. That gift you have, that talent you have, you can't be searching for the next line on your way. They got to be back here at the ready, you know? And I don't know where I got off on that, but you got to think like him. So, like in Blackbird, I got to walk on with this woman, Michelle, 27 years old, haven't seen her in, I don't know, 15 years, many years. And she's the girl I had sex with at 12. I've changed my name, I've moved away, I'm a different life, I'm not that. She walks into my place of work and goes, hi, let's talk. And so there's a freak out that happens. So you don't just walk on externally being freaked out. The trick is, and what I'll do is pace, because there's got to be adrenaline for this guy, right? So you can't rev that up. So you can't manufacture that. So I pace for about 10 minutes backstage, fast walk, to get the heart rate up. So that's happening. And the breath going a little bit. And then I spin the mind. Now it's like the Times Square banners, except pick up the speed. And it's going right across the inside of the front of my forehead, which is where you keep your key thought. Or in this case, coming on, what do you want? What do you want? You got a gun in your purse? Who have you talked to? Is that your boss? Have you talked to my boss? Have you been to the house? How long have you been following me? What do you want? Get the fuck out of it. Get the fuck out of it. God damn it. Fuck! Screaming inside my head when I come on. And if I'm doing that, I'm there. And then everything else will follow that. If you're acting, the director will give you a key thought. Tape it to the inside of your forehead. And it can be one word. You don't need a fucking treatment on what the scene's about. Don't over discuss. Chase your instincts. If you're supposed to be scared, desperate, want her to leave, scared. Tape it to the inside of your forehead and act through that. 16 other things will happen. But that's all you have to think about. On Newsroom, we would have a different director every episode. Some of them were good, some of them weren't. And the only one I really listened to, Alan Poole was the executive producer, and Aaron. And I told Aaron from day one, I said, 5 words or less. If you can't tell me what you want in 5 words or less, stay in the chair. Don't come over. You're a writer. You'll pick the right word or words. And he did. And if you do that, I won't write it. You don't act it, I don't write it. But I'll do anything you want. Anything. There will not be anything. I never said no. I never changed a word. Every time Aaron, and rarely would he come, because he writes so well that you kind of know what it is. You can get up, and then you can do it, and you bring more to it, and he's happy. I mean, we had a great, and still have a great relationship, creative relationship. But that's kind of, make them, give me the right word so I can tape that word to the inside of my forehead and then chase it between action and cut. And then all this shit happens. And then you get to the end of it, end of the take, end of the scene, end of Blackbird. And you did it. You were in the moment, not overthinking, just being. When you can't remember doing the scene, when you can't remember what you did in the scene, when you can't remember tonight's Blackbird. Is it good or bad? I don't know. I don't know. It's over. It's been over for 5 minutes. It's because you were in the moment, which is what you want.
Wow. I want to go back to the beginning. Early in one's life, if we're lucky, we have someone that sees something special in us. Talk about your music teacher. Is it Diane Leroy?
Yeah, Diane Elroy. She was a 6th grade music teacher and in a small town in Michigan, and was bored on a Friday afternoon, threw out the lesson plan and said, we're going to do skits. Improvs, but we didn't know what improv meant, or it was skits. So 30 kids, and eventually she got me up there and said, Jeff, you're a politician who's giving a speech and your pants are falling down. So as a 6th grader, I got up, did this thing, kept a straight face, I remember, talking about the sewage problem or something, whatever a 6th grader would think the town politician would, and would tug at the pants, and then eventually I was holding the pants up and doing this. She was cracking up. And she went to my parents and said, pay attention to this one, there's something going on. And then in high school, same town, she was the musical director, and she would direct musicals. And I was walking out of a basketball practice in the 10th grade, dead tired, walked past the auditorium and, Jeff! Oh, fuck. Get in here. And she was doing auditions through South Pacific, and she needed sailors. Needed guys who could carry a tune remotely. And dragged me in there, threw me up on stage, and had me do a dance, crazy dance, while Luther Billis sang whatever Luther Billis sings. And she cracked out, had me do it 3 times, put me in, and then later, I want you to do Fagin and Oliver. I want you to do Harold Hill and Music Man. I want you to do Tevye and Fiddler on the Roof. "18, blonde, and not a clue as to what Jewish was. Not a clue." She brought in a guy named Frank Werewater because she thought he was Jewish. Brought Frank in and said, "I want you to talk to Frank about being Jewish." 18, bopping over, "Hello, hello. What's it like to be Jewish?" He said, "It's not bad." I said, "Thank you," and it got up. That was it. That was the extent of the research.
So do we see a Broadway musical in your future?
I think Danny Burstein's pretty good.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
No.
I let the singers sing. We were at this dramatist thing yesterday, Audra McDonald, and you had Norm Lewis singing, and Brian Stokes Mitchell, and you had all these musical people. Highway! Just shut up. Just shut up. So I don't think I could spend that much time with people who sing that much.
Classic. How did attending Eastern Michigan University Drama School change your life?
Well, I was at Central Michigan University, which is here, and not studying, in the library, and I read the CM Life paper, and it said auditions at Eastern Michigan University, which is down near Ann Arbor in Ypsilanti, for a 16-member actor rep thing. They're going to do 4 plays, and so I said, you know what, I'm doing well at Central, and why don't I go down there, audition against kids from all over the state and see how I do, and I got Detroit Red Wing tickets that Saturday night, so yeah, I'll kind of do a 2-for-1 and then go to the game and get drunk. And I went and auditioned, and I did the monologue out of Caretaker. I had just done Caretaker and played Aston. So I just showed up like this and did the monologue. Everyone else is doing Shakespeare, and they were dressed in suits and ties. And you know, I kind of did my thing, real simple, and did the speech, and then got up, thanks, great. And I left, and there was a guy named Rory Murphy who was at Central, who was 2 or 3 years ahead of me, and he was the critic. You know, you would do a show at Central, and then you'd go back to the wardrobe department with Doris Ramsey, the costume designer, and Rory, and they'd be sitting there going, sit down. Saw the show, you know. So Rory was there, and he had auditioned, and he saw me leaving. He said, where are you going? I said, well, you know, it's callbacks, but I got called back, but you know, I just don't want to see how I audition. I got friends. We're going to get meeting at a bar in Detroit. We're going to a hockey game. He goes, you fucking idiot, you. One of the directors is from New York. He's a guy named Marshall W. Mason. He's the artistic director of Circle Repertory Company. He's called you back. You're not going to the hockey game. You're going to do the callback. Stay here. Okay. You know. And I did, and I was the last guy to audition. Marshall he says later, I kept looking to see, and you were at the back of the room, right next to the door. And finally he said, and Jeff Daniels, I'd like you to come up and read Dr. John and Summer and Smoke with this girl. And instead of us doing it, he put us in chairs facing each other from 3 feet away. And he said, do the scene. And he sat right there, and all the other kids were there behind him. And he just sat there and watched us. And we did the scene just like in close-up to each other. He goes, great, I'm done. Thank you very much. Everybody, thanks for coming. And everybody left. I got it, you know? And then before the first performance, Marshall, and I worked hard on that, because by that point I'm going, oh Jesus, this is not a small deal. And I before the first college Eastern Michigan performance, Marshall took me out and said, I don't do this. This is not what I do, but you know what you should do with your life, don't you? Well, I'm thinking about going to New York. You should come to New York, become an apprentice at Circle Rep, and do this. You're too good not to try. Only because he came out to pick up a check from an old friend in the department to direct some college kids. Lucky me.
Wow. How magical were those years at Circle Rep for you?
They were magical. Some of it was magical. I mean, Lanford was magical.
Mm-hmm.
Lanford Wilson, the playwright. I remember meeting him for the first time, and he was splayed out in a chair. It's 1976, and I walked in, and Lanford's like this. And I had just done Hot L. That was one of the plays we did on Eastern, and there's, oh Jesus, it's Lanford Wilson. And usually playwrights are, like Shakespeare and Ibsen. I mean, they're long gone, but there was a living, breathing, Mr. Wilson, how are you? Nice to meet you. Hey, doll, how are you? What are you doing? And he said, trying to finish a second act. So I just was, before I was immersed in the writing process. I loved the process of watching a Lanford Wilson find his way towards what ended up becoming 5th of July. Seeing the mess that play was in readings, the mess. And then it would come, and then it would be there, and then it was that was the magic. The seeing a new play created, rewrites coming in, and just that was the magic. Creating a new, which is what we do at Purple Rose.
Yeah.
The artistic director of Purple Rose Theater Company is here today, Guy Sandville.
Yep.
Right over here somewhere. And he and I watched Marshall and Lanford, director, playwright, create together. It was also always the two of them. And of the 16 plays I've written, because I immediately wanted to do what Lanford does in my own voice, in my own way. And Guy directs everything I write. And I literally hand it to him, and he'll tell me what it means, which is a great way to, shows the limit of my, Well, I was in Dumb and Dumber, so what do you expect?
We're going to get into that. You have this incredible career, so let's chat about some of your highlights and tell me what comes to mind, either a story, favorite memory, or a career life lesson. Your screen debut as P.C. O'Donnell in Ragtime for director Milos Forman.
Got to see Jimmy Cagney's screen test.
Did you?
Mm-hmm. He didn't think he could do it. He was in his early 80s. He came down from upstate New York with a nurse and a walker. Came into the room. We were at Channel 13 studio. They brought in Kenny McMillan and about 5 of us to stand behind Kenny while Kenny did his fire chief rant in Cagney, and Kenny had a scene. And black and white monitors, this is 81, and you could see the close-up. You could see an 82-year-old Jimmy Cagney or whatever in that. And it was a 4-page scene, and Milos Forman was going, Jimmy, you're going to be beautiful. You guys go ahead. Yeah. And he did it, and he couldn't do it. Couldn't keep the lines in his head, and so we cut it to 3 pages, to 2, down to 1 page. Just 3 or 4 lines, and Kenny's giving him, Kenny's improv, and Kenny's, hitting him hard. And finally, Jimmy just looked down at a line, and then he looked up, and you could see it in the monitor. You could see that thing that happens. He became Cagney. And whatever the line was, he hit it. And then he looked back down, and Milos, cut it! You're going to be beautiful. We shoot it 1 line at a time. Good, we're done.
Wow.
And that's what we did. Jack can do it. Clint can do it.
Yeah.
Clint I could. Jack will, Jack will really come out of it and try to do some, Jack Nicholson doing Jack is Jack, but Clint is the only guy. I did a movie with Clint, and Clint was the only other guy that I saw do what Cagney did, where Clint is so, could be an accountant, he's just sitting there, and then all right, go ahead. They roll it, and he becomes Clint Eastwood. He sets the jaw, he gives the speech, and he gets to the end, and all right, that's enough of that. And he comes out of it. And you're going, wow. Those two guys in particular have that thing they go into, and then, yeah.
So I was going to ask you about Jack Nicholson. Terms of Endearment, co-starring with, yes, Shirley MacLaine and Deborah Winger. Tell me about the first time you met with director Jack Nicholson, because it was that first day on the set, like Deborah Winger took you over to meet him. What was that whole conversation like?
Yeah, it was Jack, and I was the last one to meet him, and Deborah said, "You haven't met him? Get over here." I said, "Okay." I'm 28, and I go over to Jack. Couldn't have been nicer, and I'm nervous, and he's trying to get the kid to talk, and he says, "What have you done?" I said, "Well, Broadway and a lot of off-Broadway." Yeah. And he goes, "Well, this ain't Broadway. This is the pro game." And what he meant, I came to learn, was money. The money that happens when we put the camera on you at 4 a.m. and it's the speech that you got to hit, and the sun comes up in 20 minutes, you got to hit it. It's getting the ball with 10 seconds to go in the game, and you got to hit the three-pointer. The pros hit it. You got to hit it. There is no, well, we got the matinee tomorrow, right? There's none of that. And I took that and used that. It's preparation, getting ready, doing the work ahead of time. You get on a set with these fucking actors who are just sitting there stalling and bitching and moaning. It's because they don't know what they're doing. They haven't done the work. So they're stalling. Don't be that. Don't be that. Be a stone cold pro who has to wait on the other person. Be that. You will work more. It got me jobs for decades, being ready and on it. And then here comes Meryl on Heartburn, who is a pro. And she doesn't have to wait on me because I'm ready to go and I'm ready to react. But I've done my homework. I'm ready to go. I like you. I like you. You're ready. Be that. Producers love that. You save them money, you save them time. If you're with a star, an A-list person, you got to be great on take 1 through take 12. Every one of them you got to hit, especially if it's a 2-shot, because we're not going to use the shot where you're good. We're going to use the shot where Meryl's great. So you better be good or great in that. So that means you got to be great 8 times. She has to be great once, or whomever it is, So be great right away. Circle Rep taught me that. Theater will teach you that. You can repeat it. Film people can't repeat it. You find that on Broadway. I mean, we had some people, in the end, Michelle was our Joe Mantello's first choice, and I'm thrilled that we have her. But there were some people considered before, a couple who had never done theater. I said, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I said, "Maybe she'll open on March 10th, but where's she going to be on May 10th? I'll tell you, she's going to be in the shitter. That's where she's going to be, because she's not going to be able to repeat it." I don't give a fuck about name over the marquee. I don't care. I'm the one that's got to go out with her 8 times a week in May. Come on. Give me somebody that's got the chops that can do it. And Michelle had done cabaret for 10 months. Killer Joe before that. It was her third, so this is her third play. So she was still new to it. But grabbing her and no diva, dove in, and we're fine. It worked out great. But the theater teaches you how to be as good on take 12 as you are on take 1.
Beautiful. You work so effortlessly between stage and film. Would you just talk about the difference, because you live in that comfortability of film? I've had a lot of stars here where they talked about their first time in a film and the director kept saying, less, less, less. This is not the theater. The different chops you use, if you could just sort of explain to somebody.
I think reacting and listening, which is a key to Marshall's approach, helps that. I was doing that early. There was no transition to film for me because Circle Rep was a 150-seat off-Broadway theater in the Village. So we were already in a medium close-up. And I knew friends of mine that were on Broadway a lot more than I was, who had the bigger houses. They're the ones that had to really bring it down. They had trouble. It was trouble. But the thing that you learn quickly, and Woody taught me this on Purple Rose, he said, look, the closer the camera gets, the more you pour it onto Mia Farrow. Adore her, active choices. Adore her, love her, hear her, listen to her. The closer it gets, forget about Darth Vader, the black lens of the camera, and the 6 guys behind it with the this and the that. Make them go away, and it's all about her. And what she's saying, and listen and hear her, receive it. If you do that, the camera will see you thinking. But you gotta be thinking what he's thinking. You gotta be listening, and when she says something different, you gotta hear that and think that and come out with the camera will, a friend of mine said in Gettysburg, he said, there are some who, when we look at them, the window shades are down. We just bounce off them, we don't go in. With you, we go in. Winger taught me that. She goes, it's about the eyes. You know, theater it's a whole body, which is a wonderful way to act. I love that. But it's about the eyes. The eyes lead, the eyes listen, the eyes hear, the eyes tell. And it's telling what you're thinking. And if you do that, the camera will go in and see your thoughts. Then you're magic. But if you don't, if you're going, how do I look? And I'm going to drop my jaw here because here's the light, and it's going to read subconsciously false. Not everyone will see it, but actors will see that. They'll go, yeah, I almost believed you.
Yeah. Because I was going to ask you what it was like working with Woody, because you worked with him twice, right?
Yeah.
Radio Days was the other one.
Yeah.
I just love the way he works, like you said, just work with the actor.
Well, the good ones, dude, the good ones, Robert Altman was like this,
Yeah.
Jonathan Demme was like this, Clint's like this. Mike Nichols was like that. They go, I hired you because you're good, do it.
Yeah.
What are your ideas? And you bring what you think it is to them. Do the work. Don't show up because someone told you were brilliant. You got to do the work. You got to outwork everybody else who didn't get this part. Because they're out there. I tell the newsroom kids sometimes, they bitch and moan. Not all, but a couple would bitch and moan. And I'd, come here a second. And we'd walk to Sunset Gower, and I'd look and I'd go, see the gate? See all the cars going by? I said, in every 4th car, there's at the time, 58-year-old actor who would kill to have my part. And then I just walk away from him, leave him standing there. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. You gotta do the work to sustain the excellence that you have gained through your knowledge and experience over the decades. Put it to use. You're not done. You're not brilliant. You're only as brilliant as your next thing that you do, and that's applying everything you've learned. Everything I've ever learned, do now. And that's what I'm doing on Blackbird. And it feeds everything, you know? And Woody and all of them will do that. They'll go, show me what you think it is. And then they can do this, you know?
Shape it.
Yeah, or they don't say a word.
Yeah.
Great, let's just do it again. Anything else you want to do? No. All right, we're done. We're done here.
Clint's really fast, right?
One take.
Yeah.
Imagine Mystic River. You got Sean, you got Tim, you got Marcia, you got some discussers. And so you got some people that like to talk about. Just shoot it. He was something. You know that. You're told that. So you go in ready, and that's what he wants. And he wants it to happen for the first time on camera, and it does, good or bad, it does. And he'll figure it out. He'll cut it together if he sees what he wants. I don't need to see anything else. Okay. Sometimes he'll shoot and the scene ends, scene 88 ends, and then there's scene 89, which is the other half a page. And next thing you know, he's saying the first line in scene 89. And so you remembered 89 and you say your line. And then he goes, good, now we've shot 89 and we're done.
Did you meet him at a golf tournament?
Hmm?
What was that whole interaction like?
I went to the Pebble Beach Pro-Am once. I had the privilege of paying $10,000 to be famous. So I'm eating breakfast on the Thursday morning round or something, and with Phil Mickelson, who didn't look up from his eggs, and I'm sitting there, and going, this is okay. I mean, I wish it were. I don't know. I get to play. All of a sudden, here comes Clint Eastwood, and he's looking at me, and he's coming over, and he's coming over, and he's coming over, and I'm going, oh Jesus God, Jesus God. Jeff Daniels. Clint, oh my God, what a pleasure to meet you. I just saw Dumb and Dumber. You had to see that one. No, I laughed. You know the toilet scene? Now he's like Chris Farley in the thing. You know the toilet scene? I was in it. Yeah, that happened to me.
Bonding with Clint. After the success of Purple Rose of Cairo, you were the new it boy. You were on the cover of everything. GQ.
Yeah.
But you left Hollywood and moved your family back to Michigan. Was that a tough career decision to make at the time?
Blindly naive, but wouldn't change it.
Yeah.
I was going back to Michigan. A therapist could figure it out, but I think maybe there's partially scared of the fame that could have come.
Yeah.
Had I moved everybody to Hollywood. A very strong reason also was we had one kid. We ended up now have three. I didn't know how to raise them in Hollywood. I didn't know how to do that. And New York, even in the early 80s, mid 80s, was expensive. I did not think the career would last. They don't. I'm very a fatalist about this stuff. I didn't trust it. And so when it's over and when it ends, I'd rather just be home. I'd rather get the phone call going, you're over. Oh. I'm home. So that was kind of, I just wanted to raise them in a place that Kathleen and I understood. And she's from Michigan, and I'm an hour from the airport, and the agent said, as long as you are willing to fly on your own dime to New York or LA just for an audition, then we don't have a problem, because we're going to treat it like you're able to drive down to the audition. We don't care that you're in Michigan. But the day you say you don't want to spend the money or you don't want to do this, that, then we will have a problem representing you. And I was, fortunately at a time I had 5 or 6 movies, so they were coming to me enough, or it would be an offer or something like that. So I bought 3 or 4 years doing that. And then I got in trouble because I started doing independent movies before you were supposed to do independent movies. And 9 people went to see Checking Out, and then I had to go out to LA and audition for a bunch of things, and one of them was Dumb and Dumber. Yeah.
Now, the studio and your agents didn't want you to do Dumb and Dumber, did they?
No. It was the end of my career. I got the night before I had auditioned for it, and Jim. We got along great. We did the hot tub scene in the audition, and John Deere letter and all of that, and then at the end of it, Jim improv'd something about Frida Felcher, and that he had kind of banged her too, and he said, "What would you do if you found out the guy that did Frida Felcher?" I said, "I'd beat the fucking shit out of him." Which wasn't very funny, but Jim goes, great, I love him, It wasn't what a comedian would do. It was what an actor would do, real. And I'm going, gee, I wish I could have something funny, but oh well. Left, got it, and then the night before I'm supposed to fly out and start wardrobe and the whole thing, the phone rings. It's 11 at night. It's 2 agents from LA and the one in New York, and they're conference calling going, you cannot do this movie. We're going to step in, we're stopping it. We've got you on a serious actor trail, the heading for an Oscar someday. And they were right. They were not wrong. This blows all that up. And they said, Jeff, also Jim Carrey, he's got Ace Ventura, he's just unmasked. He's a comedic tornado. With all due respect, he's going to blow you off the screen. We just don't want to see that happen. I said, okay, well, the career sucks right now. I can do comedy. Not everybody can. I live in Michigan, so I want to create a range from Gettysburg to, say, a Dumb and Dumber, because there are jobs in between there. I'm talking about longevity now, guys. Also, there's the toilet scene, the tongue on the pole, and the snowball in the head, none of which Jim are in. So I'm going to score. But unless they cut him out of the movie, I think I'm going to be fine. So I'm doing this. And they were very much against it. We shot in Colorado. The first week, Jim barely worked. Jim might have shot one of the scootering through the mountains on a Tuesday afternoon. Monday was me, tongue on the pole. Wednesday was snowball in the head, bunch of other ski lodge, tipping. By Friday, I realized that Jim hadn't worked, which meant the audition was still going on. So that by the weekend, and I found out this later, that the studio and Jim and the Farrelly brothers, all who wanted me, were looking at the dailies. They were cutting together the scenes and looking. And they had another actor on hold over the weekend to come in. And I guessed all that. And because Monday morning, I get the call, come in, 6 a.m., start work, and you and Jim are shooting such and such a scene. Okay? Get in there. No one had said a word to me. And I'm sitting in the makeup chair, and Jim comes by, and he pats me on the shoulder and just says, keep doing what you're doing. They love you. And Jim wanted an actor next to him, not a comedian. A comedian would just wait and try to top him. And it would be that, the comedian war. He wanted an actor, he said, that made him listen, made him react, that was real, that could make Jim be more real than he had been in a long time. And so I got it. I kept it.
Wonderful. Huge hit, too. Huge hit. I hope you changed your agents after that.
No, they're both gone. The one now is the manager, and he was going, look, if it doesn't work, it's his fault, So.
You are known to millions of fans worldwide for your portrayal of Will McAvoy on the Aaron Sorkin TV series The Newsroom. How did the series come about for you?
I was developing something with Tim Busfield, and we had it at Showtime. And had a good relationship, a half-hour comedy. I was ready to, the movies weren't of interest to me anymore. I wasn't getting what I wanted. And I was getting take it or leave it offers for independent movies, and it just pissed me off. So I said, I'm ready for television. Let's go. Let's dive in. Let's write something, because of the plays that I'd been writing at the Purple Rose, let's transfer that to a series of some sort. So Tim and I did that for 6 months at Showtime. And we put a deadline on it of February 1st. You got to either pick it up or I get to leave. Because February was pilot season and I was just going to go shopping and move on. And they got to the end and February 1st. And David Nevins at Showtime was great. It was great to work with him and all that, but it just wasn't what they wanted. And so we think it's brilliant, we pass. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to go shopping. And they're going, well, we might pick it up in the spring. I said, well, pay me. Pay me not to go shopping, and I won't. Well, we're not going to do that. I said, okay, all right. And we knew about Sorkin, and we knew about Newsroom, and we knew about HBO. I mean, that's gold standard. And so we called that Monday after February 1st and said, and we got on the short list. In fact, we got probably right at the top. They were kind of floored. And so weeks later, Aaron was campaigning for Social Network, and so after he got done with the Oscars, we met at Four Seasons in New York, and here in New York, and I had it after the breakfast meeting. I had it, and I mean, I was leaving the meeting going, look, I really want to do this, but if I he goes, no, you're doing it. Let's talk about the girl. Who's the girl? And we just had to convince Aaron. I think I had to convince him that I could get as angry as McAvoy got or gets. And so I told a couple theater stories where I had tantrums and took some people out, and would bang the table in the Four Seasons, and Four Seasons people would turn around. It was all a performance. And Aaron was going, yeah, no, she said, don't bang the table anymore. So we had it, and so it worked out. That's how I got it. And then, like I said before, I told him, I said, you'll never hear me come in going, can we talk about episode 6? Not happy with a couple of the speeches in there. I've done some work on them. I said, you'll never hear that. I have too much respect for you. Every word you write, I'll say.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
That Northwestern speech, if you all remember the pilot, when you didn't have a series yet, did you really?
That was the pilot. Like everything today, and even HBO, even then, just because you're Aaron Sorkin or anything like that, you don't have a series. You got to shoot the pilot, and then HBO is going to decide, and they got all these factors, how it fits, what they do, and so you're shooting a pilot, and you don't have a series yet. It was an 18-day shoot, and the Northwestern speech wasn't in there. It wasn't in the script until about 2 weeks before we shot, because Scott Rudin, who was producing, said, we got to see what happens at Northwestern. We can't just refer to it. So Aaron wrote that, and he rewrote it 4, 5, 6 times. And I would keep rememorizing. And day 3 of the 18-day shoot, we shot that scene. And it was just like a place like this, bigger, and hour and a half north of LA in some community college that had College of the Canyons, that had purple seats to fake Northwestern. And I looked over there, and there was number 2, 3, and 4 from HBO. Never seen them before. Scott Rudin had flown in from New York. Executive producers, Aaron, Sam Waterston, Tom Sadowski, Olivia Munn came out just to see it. I thought it was great support, but later found out they just wanted to see if they had a job or not.
Wow.
And Aaron was nervous as a cat. He's going, do you need cue cards? Yeah, I don't want to insult you, but and I gave him a look that withered him, and he went over there. It was the 5 words or less look. And I was ready. I mean, I'd been waiting for this speech for decades. Every actor knows, if you've been around long enough and you see that speech that you get to do, you don't leave anything. You again, work your ass off. Robert Preston said, you got to be in the right place at the right time, but then you have to deliver. And that's what Nicholson was talking about. You got to hit it. This is the pro game. So on day 3 of that pilot, they want to find out if they have a McAvoy, if they have a series, all of it. And I had done the work. I wasn't nervous at all. And they finally turned the cameras around in the afternoon, and they're going, are you ready? I'm going, as soon as you get out of here, I'm ready, yeah. Wow. And hit it. Aaron comes over, says, you're pitching a no-hitter. I'm not going to talk to you. Walked away. And Kim, the script supervisor, who had helped me with rememorizing the constant rewrites and drilled me, and I used her, and she came over very quietly, whispered into my ear after the first take. She goes, "Now you know you can do it." And walked away. And then we did a few more takes. I remember we altered the second half of it, more, not sadness, melancholy, something, just wish for, long for a country. It could be that, versus, ram through angry to the end. And then, boom, we were done. They had it. And I think HBO decided they had a series that afternoon. But that's what you got to do. This is, there are 1,000 guys behind me that would kill for the opportunity. And you got to do it in a way. Blackbird's the same way. Blackbird's been done all over the country, all over the world. It's a two-hander, it's cheap, it's easy, and it's, everybody thinks they can do it. I want those actors to come. I want you to sit in the audience, because I want you to see the definitive portrayal of this guy, which is not yours. You have to have that mindset, because we are in a business that doesn't give a shit about us, that rejects us, that tells us we're not good enough, that we open the New York Times, we have to listen to this guy tell us whether we're good or not, which is, by the way, irrelevant. If I wanted the New York Times or any critic involved in what I do, I would have you there on Newsroom at 6 in the morning the day I shoot the Northwestern speech, and before we rolled camera, I would turn to you and ask you what I should do. But I don't do that, because you're not a part of this process. So, the fact that you write or you're a critic, that's terrific, that's wonderful, that's wonderful. Write for the people who might spend money watching this play or watching this show, but you're not talking to me. You can't talk to me. I've been doing it too long. And that's the mindset you have to have. You have to have that to confront all of the judgment and then, rejection by people who think they know. You just have to be stronger than that up here. And so that was with Newsroom, that's how I took it through every day. I mean, we would show up on the set, and you got Sorkin. There are a lot of words. For 3 years, there are a lot of words. And you're just like in Blackbird, there's no social life. You got to rest, you got to do it, you got to eat right. But with Newsroom, you get a new 80 pages every 2 weeks. First of all, Aaron's writing every word. How he did that, I don't know, but he did. Sam Wanderson and I would sit there after readings going, how does he do it? How does he do it? And there were a lot of rewrites once we got into the episodes. But you get that the second week of shooting, you shoot them 2 weeks. Thursday of the second week, the reading over lunch of the next episode, starting Monday. You read it, Aaron goes, great, terrific. And if you get the word Thursday night, that's what it is, which it usually was, start memorizing. Friday night, you're still shooting 6, start memorizing 7, Friday night, all day Saturday night, Sunday. By Sunday night, with Sorkin, you have to have the whole week down cold, like it's the 100th performance of Blackbird cold. If you don't, you're going to get eaten up. You're going to get Sorkinized, because you're going to be going along, and you're going to it's going to go too, because you got to pace it up, and then you've got to know it. You've got to know it so well to do it properly. So put in the work, and we put in the work. I would show up on the set 6 in the morning, and you've got all these actors with sides, little, sides, right? It's the LA way of doing it, which is fine. And it's okay if you're on speed or something where it's just, look out, cut, lunch. It doesn't, that I get that. But if it's Sorkin or something like that, don't come to the set with your sides. Don't do it. And you sure better not do it on Newsroom. So I would stand in the center of the actors at 6 in the morning with 13 pages of Sorkin in my head. And I didn't challenge them, but those that sat there and had to look at the sides didn't do the work, did you? Well, you better be ready when we go. And we had day players come in, and they got told early on, come in cold, off book, ready, or we're telling you, it's not a pleasant experience. And we do take one at about 75% sorting speed. And then once we were set and good, and then we'd go take two, which is, all right, let's pick it up. Go. And you got to be on top of it. And actor after actor after actor would come in. Damon Gupton, I remember, who was in Clybourne Park, played a great role as one of Rick Santorum's aides. And a 6-pager where he and I just ate each other up. And the guy was prepared and great. It was terrific. We had one guy come in, and the producer came in and said, he's wondering, he's a little nervous, if he can put his lines up on the prompter behind you. I said, well, I'll tell you, let's do this. Put up, this is Newsroom, on the prompter. I ain't easy. But if I'm going to do the work, I expect you to do the work. And if you have that attitude, producers, directors, other actors will go, he or she is a pro. You gotta outwork everybody else, or you won't last. Won't last.
Go right ahead. Did the Newsroom make you a better actor?
Yeah, because of the dialogue demands, how to carry a set. You're number one on the call sheet. That comes with responsibility. The cliche, it starts at the top. If I'm ready, when Sam and Sadowski and Olivia saw that Northwestern speech, Sadowski said, oh, this is the show we're on. Oh, I get it. And they're all theater people. Not Olivia's not, but Sadowski and Sam and Allison Pill and Marcia Gayhart, I mean, they get it. They're going, good, great, I get what I'm supposed to do. Jeff's doing it, I'm going to do that. And they would come in, off book. Occasionally you get the side people, but that established the rules early on. So that, how to carry a set, how to lead people, how to show people the way, because you're working as hard as anyone. And then you win an Emmy, because you're not supposed to win an Emmy. You're in the first year of HBO, and HBO came to me and said, Gandolfini didn't win anything till like his third year, so don't get excited about the Emmy nomination. It really isn't going to happen. And I was like, okay, I'm okay. And we went into that ceremony, and it was Kevin Spacey and Bryan Cranston and John Hamm and Damian Lewis, and it was loaded. Hugh Bonneville of Downton Abbey, and a first-year show about, we were way over here, house left. We were way over there. We were at somebody else's party. Yeah. It was obvious. And then the wrong people started winning. Yeah. The wrong people started winning. Yep. And then by the time it got to me, I'm going, I better get something ready, because this is there's a vibe in the room going, what the fuck is going on here?
And you had been sitting for a long time, right?
I've been sitting for an hour and a half, 2 hours. 2 hours. And my legs didn't work, and I'm tired, and I'm just there for the salmon or the steak. That's all I'm there for. I've been told not to. Bobby Cannavale is 5 seats down. I know Bobby from New York, and he was up for Boardwalk Empire. They're doing Best Supporting Actor in a series, and Bobby and I, salmon or steak? Yeah, I'll have a steak, salmon. Yeah, me too. And the winner is Bobby Cannavale. Bobby gets up, gives me a what the fuck look. So I'm like going, oh Jesus God, get something ready, got to get something ready. Okay, you're at least 50-50, so okay, Lanford Wilson told me, make sure whatever you do matters, make it count. Okay, there's the end. Thank HBO, thank the cast and crew. Kathleen, for God's sakes, thank Kathleen. I need a joke at the front. And then nominees for Best Actor in a Dramatic Series are Bryan Cranston, Breaking Bad. I need a joke at the front. A joke at the front. Kevin Spacey, House of Cards, joke at the front. Anything. And I remembered the only other thing I'd ever won was in 2005 for Squid and the Whale. I had won the Best Actor Over 50 award from the AARP. I swear to God, I thought of that. I look up, Juliana Margulies, and the winner is Jeff Daniels, Newsroom. Got up. First of all, the woman behind me who was having a bad night was going, "What?" I get up. My legs are like, "Oh, Jesus, God. Oh, Jesus." I go up the stairs like this. I get to the podium, the joke works, everything works. I get to the party afterwards, there's an HBO executive comes up to me, he goes, "Congratulations, absolutely terrific. Little thing, it's an important award." I said, "Whoa, why you say, sure, yeah. Well, you didn't look like you were taking it seriously." What do you mean? "Well, when you walked up the steps, you were doing a thing and you looked like you were flying or something. It didn't, just make sure." I said, "Fucking legs didn't work."
But you got the Emmy.
I got the Emmy, and they didn't ask for it back, and no, that was a big deal, big deal. I mean, to be with, those guys, and you know what won me the Emmy? And you submit one episode. We submitted the Northwestern speech.
Fabulous.
And once it started to go with the wrong people winning, so to speak, I'm going, I do have a chance, because as good as all those other guys are in their shows, they don't have that Northwestern speech. And that is a speech, by that point, that I knew it would outlive me and Aaron, that speech. And I said, that gives me a chance. So, and it turns out that I think that's what did it.
So well deserved. So well deserved. We have a few more minutes, so we're going to do a quick speed round. I told you it flies by pretty fast, right?
Oh,
okay.
It's just lightning fast, yeah.
God of Carnage. Favorite memories?
The night the puke machine didn't work. Hope Davis throws up, vomits onto a coffee table, and it's a whole thing, rigmarole thing out it goes. I hook it up. Didn't work. Didn't work. That was fun. I just stopped, and Jim Gandolfini's going, maybe we should stop. Yeah, why don't we stop? Well, here's what happened. See, she pukes, and so I just did 3 minutes of comedy. And then we just put some Coke in her mouth, and we backed it up, and she did that.
And the audience loved it.
Yeah, they loved it.
Live theater. Working with Danny Boyle on Steve Jobs.
He's a filmmaker, and he's putting the camera in places that people shouldn't put cameras. And you're looking, all of a sudden the camera's under the table looking up through here, and you're just going, there's a vision that this guy has, and the enthusiasm he had. Yeah.
The Martian.
Well, you got Matt Damon on Mars. You got to go get him. He's Matt Damon. I'm not going to leave Matt Damon there. And so I was a little confused, because apparently I was the only one in the movie who were going, this might not work. You might send 7 astronauts to get him, and you all might die, and that's a bigger, there's more funerals there. There's, and so then you immediately have 12 people all fighting to be the protagonist going, shut up! I go, yeah, okay, all right, I'll sit back. Go get him.
Writing music and touring with your son's band.
Yep. A religious experience for me to turn to my left and see my son, who can play with a band and writing his own stuff, and to take what we do. And I love, this is where the Lanford comes in. I write my stuff, and you can hear the playwright influence through what I write. And I don't write hits. I don't care about corporate country. I write it's a pure creative expression, the music, for me. As our the plays. The acting is you occasionally get something where, like a Blackbird where you can do that, but a lot of times you got to do this to pay the rent and stuff like that. But the music is a joy, just a joy, and the writing of it, and like we did a new CD called Never Gone Before, which is all the songs we played on tour together over a year and a half, and we recorded them in the studio, and I just they'll be playing that at my funeral.
Yeah. What are you the proudest of with your theater company, the Purple Rose, which just celebrated its 25th anniversary?
I'm proudest of what we've done for that 21-year-old actor I used to be. And he or she is there. And he or she has a place now to learn everything I know in a structured way that I couldn't do, but that Guy and others can do. Or that 40-year-old actress that has 2 kids and a husband who works in the University of Michigan and didn't get to go to New York, but could have, had the talent, and just chose a different way. And now she gets to play Blanche. Now I get to write for her. And others, and the young actors in their 20s who are thinking about going to Chicago or New York or LA. Before you go, let me teach you everything I know. Let Guy teach you everything I know. Now you can go. Now you're going to New York with a hell of a lot more than I had. You're getting New York level master class, how to do this, what's important, what isn't, how to be a pro, clinic before you get in the car and go. And the older actors who are there, who are learning things inside them that they can't learn at any other theater. I love the whole creative thing that we've given to them that makes them better. And it's really the people that come to our theater are kind of, wow. I mean, we've had some producers come out when they look at a certain play or something, and they're going, where do you get the people? New York? We said, no, Jackson, Ann Arbor, Pinckney, Stockbridge. We just develop them.
Yeah.
You're going to bring in stars? Fuck stars. We're not going to bring stars in. We're developing our own people, And so I'm thrilled with that. We have a thing, develop our own. That's what we do, whether it's staffing or whether it's actors. We develop our own people who happen to be there.
Yeah. As you're coming into the last few weeks of this run of Blackbird, what will you miss the most? And what's been the best part of this experience?
I will miss Blackbird. I will miss what happens in front of this the smartest theater-going audience in the world, especially when it comes to dramas. This is not the Jersey Boys, Lion King crowd. This is the people who have seen all the great dramas in 30 years, who saw Jessica Tandy do whatever, who, all of that, Vanessa Redgrave do, and they're coming to Blackbird and they're going, go ahead. And I love those people because, again, keep up, pay attention, and we throw it at them, and we get that crowd to be this silent. Time and time, pause and pause again throughout the play. You hear that deafening silence from that crowd. I'll miss that. I'll miss that.
My final question is, what is the best bit of advice that you've been given, both personally and professionally, that you live by?
My dad told me, invest in yourself. Whatever that means to you, invest in yourself. Whether it's the money, and you can see it. I do music, and I'm able to play clubs, and I make money, But I also invest in myself creatively, and all the things that it could mean. He said, just invest in yourself.
Some incredible advice. It's really great. I want to thank you for an incredible afternoon.
Not bad.
If you haven't seen Blackbird, you've got a few more weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jeff Daniels.